It was a mistake at the time and it was even worse mistake in hindsight. We shouldn't have gone to Seaford. The people who made that decision have got a bit to answer for, and I think that's contributed to where we are today, there's no doubt. But Bassat, the wealthy co-founder, with his brother, of online employment juggernaut Seek, said the club had rebuilt itself by moving back to Moorabbin, improving the culture and had laid a foundation that meant that they could focus on football now. Saints coach Alan Richardson. Credit AAP. We were never going to make finals for the first few years of Richardson's tenure. We were relatively close in 16 and missed out by a game in 17. The position is relatively clear. We went through a very thorough review led by football boss Simon Lethlean, who was new to the club, didn't come in with any legacy. We made the decision that Alan was our coach going forward. We thought that he needed better support or different sort of support. We put a lot of experienced people like assistant coaches Brett Ratton and Brendan Lade into the club, at the leadership level like Billy Slater, on-field people like Dan Hanbury. We now feel we've got a lot more experience to support the coach. I think for the whole club, for all of us to feel we're on track, and to not start to think we need make further changes. This isn't just about Alan. We need to start being competitive week in, week out. So it's much less about a win-loss tally. I'm really not a fan of changing horses midstream. All of our focus and effort and attention is on being successful in the course of this year. Alan's our head coach through that. We're backing him unambiguously to achieve that. It was a mistake at the time and it was even worse mistake in hindsight. We shouldn't have gone to Seaford. The people who made that decision have got a bit to answer for. Andrew Bassat. While the president would not discuss the contract details, Richardson is coach for 2019 and 2020 but with performance clauses that protect the club. He said, Alan is absolutely the coach going forward, certainly through 2019, and if we're on track, he'll likely be our coach beyond that. What I hope is that Alan is our coach in 5 years and that Alan, I hope, coaches through to the second flag. Bassat said the focus had to be on field. Now we're back at Moorabbin and we've got a new stadium deal. We're optimistic we can start earning money and paying off the debt going forward. The Saints have repaid $700,000 to the AFL, which is owed close to half of their debt. They received more than $19 million from the AFL, the most of any Victorian club in 2018, but $500,000 less than in 2017, when the Marvel Stadium deal was inferior. We're now back at Moorabbin. We've done the hard work to do that. We've now got a decent stadium deal. We've rebuilt the culture 5 years ago. I think it was a mess. It's fair to say, you can walk and chew gum at the same time for sure, but football is absolutely the first priority of every decision we make is through the lens of will this help us be successful on the field? Will this help us win our next flag? If the answer's no, it's either deprioritized or not done. Asked about the on-field expectations for this year, Bassat said, we have to start being competitive week in, week out. That will give us confidence we're on the right track. I don't think finals are out of the question at all. The first expectation at this stage is week in, week out we're competitive. If you're doing that, you're starting to win games of football. If you're doing that, you're starting to make the finals. That can happen 2019, but that's not our benchmark for success. The president said the work of the previous administration led by his predecessor Peter Summers and current chief executive Matt Finnis put us in a position where we can focus much more single-mindedly on football. He said the club was actually better placed now, despite debt, than it was 5 years ago when it was heading down the ladder. We were actually getting rid of our better players. In order to do that, to exacerbate that, we were at Seaford with no prospects of getting out. We had no sponsors, we had low members. The culture was very poor within the club. The president said the club's move back to Moorabbin really underwrites the future of the club. Even with the debt, we've got the opportunity, once we show some progress on the field, to become a destination club. We don't think we had that at Seaford. The stadium deal made our finances pretty perilous. Bassat said the club could own the whole Bayside area, comparing St Kilda's position to that of SEEK, competing with tech giants Google and Microsoft. In my day job, we compete with the Googles of the world and Microsofts. There's nothing in the world at large that says we can't eventually be competitive on even terms with the Collingwoods of the world and the Hawthorns of the world. We've got a very large fan base. We've got to convert that into a membership